Hello and welcome back to Focus Atlanta. Thanks so much for continuing to watch. In this segment, we're going to talk a little bit about cybersecurity. David Shepard is here with some tips.
Thanks so much, David, for coming on Focus Atlanta today to talk with us about cybersecurity. Can we start off talking about why it seems so difficult?
Yeah, definitely. And actually, that was one reason for the survey that we've just run. We wanted to see how organizations are striking a balance between securing their environment, but also then providing a positive user experience. So we went out globally. We asked 20,000 IT professionals, security experts, executives, and IT leaders. The stats were really, really interesting. 86% of IT professionals said poor user experience leads to unsafe workarounds being employed by workers. If we think of an example of that, if we get any tech friction, any tech frustration with the tools we are using in work, as employees, as users, we are very creative and find a way around that. In fact, the survey also pointed out that 1 in 2 workers admit to using personal devices for work activities, and then 32% claiming that their company was actually unaware of this as well. So quite a significant security risk. On the flip of that, 13% of IT security professionals say that user experience is mission critical to deploying these safety, these workarounds, to solving the problems with these workarounds, which is actually a really small percentage compared to the 86% that say that poor experience leads to this. So we've got a big divide there in the survey, and it's led to some interesting conversations.
In terms of having a positive user experience, can they coexist? Can you have this positive user experience and effective cybersecurity at the same time?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all about ensuring organizations have the time to do this. We actually, within Avanti, we run with something called Secure by Design, which is a pledge and a framework created by the US cybersecurity infrastructure and security agency, CISA. This is a framework that allows us to deliver our products to our customers in a secure fashion, which takes some of the risk away from our customers. The survey also pointed out that only 37% of user experience conversations include the security team. Now, the security team are very busy, and this could lead to not being able to take part in these conversations. If we can lighten the load on the security teams and give them some time back, then user experience conversations can become front and center at this point.
Can we talk a little bit about AI and how AI affects the cybersecurity landscape at this point?
Yeah, Gen AI is a conversation we're having every day, especially when so, for example, ChatGPT and its usage. The usage of Gen AI tools is everywhere now. It's mainstream. Uncontrolled in a work environment means security issues do increase. There is challenges around data privacy, compliance, cybersecurity risks, even copyright material issues. We need to understand where that data is that we're accessing and potentially what data we're sharing. And if it's uncontrolled, we don't know that. In fact, 81% of our respondents said they had no training on AI. So that's another gap that we need to fill in. And also 15% said that they were using unsanctioned tools within their work environment. So again, data, where that data is being stored, how that data is being transferred potentially could be outside of organizational boundaries. These are real issues that AI creates, but AI is here to stay. So these are issues we need to address.
In terms of our safety, what do we need to know now to secure our own data and to make sure that our sensitive information isn't misused?
Yeah, as a consumer as well, this is really important. So unsolicited messages are becoming more and more. In fact, AI contributes to that because the bad guys out there are using this technology to make sure we're inundated with more information. That information, if it asks for personal information, if it asks for credentials, should never be shared. In fact, we should never share with anything we don't know. We should also keep passwords strong. They're still the first form of protection. They need to be long, they need to be random. They also need to utilize all the characters we have to hand. Also, one technology term I'll use is multi-factor authentication. Sounds complicated, but it's not. This is where social platforms allow us to enter a password, but then also verify ourselves via email or via device. Make sure that's switched on, a really, really effective way of protecting your information. And then finally, if an application asks for an update, then push that update, because you need that update to stay secure and be on the latest version. Do not delay those updates. They are very, very important.
Is there some place online where we could learn more about not just your company, but about securing our information and staying ahead of the cybersecurity curve?
Yeah, avanti.com/secured experience will give all the information we've talked about today and much more.
Let me close out with anything you would tell, again, not just those in the cybersecurity field, but regular consumers. Is there anything else that you would stress to them about how to keep themselves and their family and their family's information safe on the internet?
No, the 4 points I mentioned earlier are probably the most relevant that we can do. I do stress keeping devices and applications up to date is really, really vital to avoiding any challenges. But as long as we deploy, rigorous password discipline, then we are good. In fact, password managers that you might be able to utilize within your web browsers, another good way of staying ahead of the curve in terms of cybersecurity.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this segment of Focus Atlanta. Please stay tuned for more.